Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy Nate. Today, we're going to be discussing a giant warm up from central to eastern parts of the United States before a blast of severe weather will occur again in the middle of the week. So, if you guys are new to my channel, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, share this with friends and family on social media so that you may stay informed. I also do have timestamps here in these videos. So for the following days here, if you just look to the top of your screen right over here, these are the specific days that I am talking about. So if you want to jump to those specific days, please use the timestamp / chapters that you see at the bottom of your screen. So Sunday here, temperatures for most of the country. Monday, temperatures for the most of the country as well. Monday, warmer temperatures. Tuesday, severe weather that is occurring here in the southern plains into the central plains, and then Wednesday, the potential for that severe weather to linger here in the central and southern plains, maybe even the Ozarks as well. All right, so here is day one. This is here Sunday, and just by looking at the morning, you can see nothing really is happening. I mean, we all know this because we're all currently in the morning, and you know, there's some showers in Florida. There's some snow showers up in North and South Dakota. There's some showers in the Rockies, but that's, you know, that's typical for this time of year. So nothing really has changed at the end of April here. As time continues to progresses, we're at 4 o'clock here, and the rain officially starts to move off away from Florida. Some more showers could come from the northwest as well as into the California into the Sierra areas. So as that continues to move on through, that could potentially turn into snow overnight. So people over in central Nevada, if there's anyone over there, they could get some snow, and that could be pretty interesting for them. Here's our temperature anomalies. For the most part here on Sunday, above average temperatures in places like the Rockies into the central plains. That actually gets to 10 to even 20 degrees above average in these brown areas over here. So definitely something that's pretty crazy for the most part. Below average temperatures here in places like California and Nevada, especially along the coast here. So definitely something to watch out for as well. Once again, below average temperatures begin to hammer the northern parts of the plains. So the northern plains get really very much so below average temperatures. Some of these areas in these like dark purples can get up to almost 30 degrees below average. And that's actually what you're seeing here in California. So it's definitely something that we're all going to want to monitor for the most part. We also have a bit of a cool down for the east at the moment because we had that low pressure system that caused a bunch of rain for most of us over here. So definitely something to really monitor for the most part. Except for if you're in southern parts of Florida, in which you guys are still going to get some pretty nice warm conditions here today. High temperatures for the most part, you can see right here within this brown and dark red area. That's around the 80s to 90s, almost into 100s. Actually, it is into 100s once you get into the browns. But for the most part, the 80s is kind of like the oranges, and the 90s, as soon as you get in towards like the reds and the browns, that's what you're talking about there. So pretty warm for the most part here in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, into New Mexico and Colorado. Also really warm here in Florida, 80s and 90s here for the most part. And then if you take a look at the places, you know, the northern parts of the country, it's relatively cool. It stays below 50 degrees in some spots, except for these yellows here, in which you can see it gets up to 55 or even 60. But these colors right here within this this light blue, it does indicate some chilly conditions. So definitely something that people are going to want to monitor and plan accordingly if you live up there. Dew points for the most part, it's going to be relatively dry for the areas that are going to be really hot. So I do anticipate some sort of fire risk for these areas to be prevalent here. Not exactly going to be too crazy. It's going to be pretty warm here for the most part here in Florida. I just realized that my face was covering most of the stuff over in California, so I'm going to actually go back a slide and show you what I was talking about with the below average temperatures. Look at that. Pretty blue over here in California. And then, temperatures in California will stay. If you're in the desert, then you're going to get pretty warm, but California and stuff like that will stay around or below 50. Anyways, back to the dew points. Stay relatively dry for the most part in the western part of the country. Somewhat moist for the central to eastern parts, or even east central parts of the United States. Dew points would be along the 50s, but I still anticipate some sort of fire risk right here near New Mexico and Texas due to how warm, how hot and dry that actual area is going to be. Low temperatures heading into the evening, into overnight hours, and even the morning onto Monday. You can anticipate it to get near or below freezing if you're in any of these light blue areas to almost white. So any of these areas that I'm about to outline, you can anticipate it to get near or below freezing within these general vicinities, and that's pretty chilly. So could get into some freezing temperatures in some of these areas. But relatively moist for the central and southern plains here, as well as the southeast heading up into the mid-Atlantic. So something to keep in mind with that again. All right, here is Monday, and you can see those snow showers continue to linger here for the most part in the Rockies. You also have some lingering showers in the northern plains. That'll continue to move on through into the afternoon hours and even into the evening for those specific areas. Still some snow showers that could be possible here in the Rockies and into the Sierra Mountains, but it'll be kind of lingering storms for the most part. So that'll be something interesting. Northern parts of Michigan can anticipate some sort of rain/snow or wintry mix or something like that. If we go back a slide, there's actually a little bit of wintry mix up in northern Michigan. So there is some activity there that could show some freezing precipitation, but not too much to linger on forever. Here's the temperature anomalies here. Above average temperatures in these reds now extends further into the Mississippi River Valley towards Chicago. Chicago actually gets almost 20 degrees above average temperatures here. You also have, for the most part here in Nebraska and Iowa, very high above average temperatures. In these dark reds, it starts to get to 15 degrees above average. In the browns, it starts to get to almost 20 degrees above average. So some very much so above average temperatures here. Still some below average temperatures in the northeast, but things are starting to warm up here for the most part in the south. Starting to get towards average temperatures near places like Louisiana and Mississippi, but still just a hint below average, just about 3 to 5 degrees below average. And same thing with the coastal Carolinas here heading into Georgia and Florida. But you can see over here in the desert, very much so below average temperatures here. I mean, look at this. Some below average temperatures actually get almost to 30 degrees below average here. That is some pretty cool weather here for these general vicinities. And I'm anticipating that to continue to linger on forwards into Wednesday, which we'll get on to in a second. Here's your high temperatures for the most part. As I said, it'll stay relatively warm for southern parts of Florida. But you can see how the entire central to eastern parts of the United States is starting to warm up now. Most of these areas are starting to get into these brighter oranges, into those darker oranges, which can indicate temperatures at around 70 to maybe even 80 degrees. As I said, these dark reds are around 80 to 90, and these browns are 90 to 100 degrees. So there's definitely a lot of warm or hot air here within these general vicinities. And once again, with these dew points here in the next screen, you can see it's relatively dry here in New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, Texas, or western parts of Texas into western parts of Kansas. So I would not be surprised if there was another fire risk there. Wildfires could be a problem with those areas. But for the most part, relatively moist here in Florida, relatively moist here in Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska. There is the potential for some severe weather according to the GFS, but it is so capped. There's so much of a limiting factor there that's preventing thunderstorms from developing. Like here, I've got a good example of what the environment in Iowa and Missouri is like for Monday. So imagine this water bottle as being energy and energy for storms to develop, and this hole right here in the water bottle is the energy in which it exhausts, so your thunderstorms develop and they shoot up into the atmosphere. So if I squeeze the water bottle, all the air is going to shoot up pretty significantly. I know I'm going in and out with the camera. It's autofocusing, but can't really fix all that. But if you put a lid on it and you squeeze the water bottle, the air's not going to shoot out. So that's exactly what's happening here with these storms. There's a literal lid on top of the thunderstorms, and it's preventing it from forming. Now, you could get into some instances where there's a lot less of that limiting factor, the lid, if you will. And when that happens, pardon your ears real quickly. When that happens, first off, you can see something right here. I'm twisting the water bottle if you guys couldn't tell. If there's still that lid, you can see the lid starts to bulge and stuff like that. That's literally what happens with clouds. You can look it up. It's called a pileus cap. Pileus cap cloud. It actually looks pretty cool. But if you have a weaker lid in the atmosphere, which there is such a thing, you could potentially have something to where it could pop out and storms shoot up very rapidly, just like that steam just did, and condensation, into which you can potentially get your stronger thunderstorms that could form on through. But as of right now, there's so much of that lid to the point where it's kind of like that water bottle. If you squeeze it as much as possible, stuff really, it still won't pop because you still have that lid. But we'll continue to monitor it as we get closer and closer to Monday. I'll update you guys again tomorrow morning. But still, relatively moist here for these areas. Moist here in the deep south as well, but not too much of a driving factor for a lot of thunderstorms here. So it's more or less going to be a setup for Tuesday, which I've been talking about on my live streams. Here's the lows here for here's the lows here for today. Oh, not today. For Monday into Tuesday. You can see, as I said, anywhere in these bright blues, this is where you can anticipate some near or below average, not near or below average, near or below freezing temperatures, especially in these burgundies. They get into like the 20s and stuff like that. And that is really chilly here, especially since we are in late April. That is definitely not the move right there. But you still have some decent low temperatures here for the central parts of the states and the eastern parts of the states. So not bad at all. Here is the reason why we have all this is happening. We have a giant trough that is moving on through that's going to cause our severe weather on Tuesday. But with every trough comes a ridge. Here is the trough that we had here yesterday that caused the severe weather. And here is the ridge that begins to develop. It's this arcing that moves upwards. This is the jet stream that we're looking at. So 500 millibar winds, the jet stream. And so whenever the jet stream bows up towards Canada, that is called a ridge. Whenever the jet stream bows down towards Mexico, that is a trough. And so whenever a ridge forms, there typically is a high pressure system that sits within it. And that's exactly what's happening here. There's actually a high pressure system over here in the Gulf of Mexico, but very strong high pressure system that's bringing a lot of warm air into the south for right now. But then you also have your low pressure system that's marching on through here with your trough. With every trough comes a low pressure system. And this is what we're going to want to look out for with the severe weather on Tuesday. Speaking of Tuesday, here's your day 3 outlook by the Storm Prediction Center. It's a slight risk, so a 2 out of 5 on the severe scale. I definitely think it could be upgraded, especially here in Texas. So people need to watch out for that. Oklahoma City, Wichita, Kansas, Lubbock, Texas, Abilene, Texas, Norman, Oklahoma, Midland, Texas. In my opinion, Fort Stockton could be in it as well. Um, but Wichita Falls, as well as Woodward, even little parts of Amarillo could be in this risk. You guys need to watch out and stay tuned to my videos. I'll update you guys as we get closer and closer as to what exactly we can get. We do have a lot. We do have a short range model on it, but it's a low resolution short range model, and it's kind of in between the two long range models. One wants the event further north, one wants the event further south. That's the same thing for Wednesday too, and so it's kind of half and half as to the placement of where this event could be. But um, the threat for severe weather is there, including the threat for significant weather. Yes, there is a 15% chance for severe weather indicated in the yellow, 5% indicated in brown, but you also have this black circle with the dotted lines in it, and that is your significant risk for severe weather. That could include a 10% chance or greater of you seeing significant severe weather, whether that is damaging winds and upwards of hurricane force winds, which I actually don't think that is possible for this event. Large hail and upwards of 2 inches, which I do believe that is possible because of the setup. I actually think that is most likely the case for the significant severe weather, and a possibility of tornadoes to be strong, which that is kind of possible, but I don't think that's going to be the highest risk. I think it'll be the hail that'll move on through these general vicinities 100%. So let's head on to the timing here. As I said, if you guys are curious, this is the time up here for this all. Widespread United States look. You can see snow continues to linger here in the Rockies into the Sierras. But heading off into the afternoon hours, scattered convection starts to form. There's a little bit of a bubble, a little cell right here in Texas that begins to develop. And you can see how that cell begins to turn into more cells. And there's a couple other cells that form in Texas, but that's not really going to be associated with the main risk. By 10 p.m., there's a lot more cells that form in parts of Texas, western parts of Texas, west central parts of Texas specifically could be seeing that. And as you get into the overnight hours, the storms start to become a lot more widespread, and that'll move on through into Wednesday, where there could be a lot more severe weather here in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. But this is, as I said, a lower resolution model, so it's not depicting specifics. It's more talking about general things as to what all could happen. And we'll have a higher resolution model for you tomorrow as we get closer and closer to Tuesday for you all. So if you would like to come back to my video tomorrow that I'll be uploading in the morning, that would be greatly appreciated. I'll get you your information that you guys need. Now, here's the temperatures for the most part in the United States. And I was talking about this warm up for the United States here. And yet there is severe weather that will most likely be ongoing on Tuesday here in the plains. Look at how warm these temperatures get for the east, even the northeast. Some of these oranges extend further north, all the way up into Michigan, even into places like Ontario. You guys could even get some warm weather up here. Near Detroit, Toronto could get a little bit of it, but you're on the northern part of Lake Ontario, so it's kind of half and half. But Hamilton indeed could get something. Anywhere west, or not west, east of Detroit, you guys could even get some very warm conditions up there. Even some warm conditions up here in the southern parts of the Manitoba vicinity and the Saskatchewan area. You guys could even get some warm weather and upwards of 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So pretty warm up here for the most part. Pretty warm for the mid-Atlantic. As I said, some of these temperatures are going to be in the 80s in some of these oranges, including myself. I know I'm going to be in the 80s. That's what's forecasted here. That's what I'm forecasting for my area, which is mid-Atlantic. So pretty warm, very much so warm up, if you will, because just, a couple days ago we had temperatures in the 30s. Now we have temperatures that are forecasted to be in the 80s. So that is a big drop off, a big displacement in the temperatures there over the span of, say, 5 days. Now let's take a look a bit closer at the event here in the Central Plains. And you can see with this storms, or with these storms, this is 4 o'clock Central, and this is your bubble that starts to form out here in western Texas. As that continues, there is more storms that begin to develop. And, as we head into the overnight hours, more and more thunderstorms are expected to pop up here in western Texas, as I mentioned. This will continue to move on through past the overnight hours. Excuse me. Even into the morning hours on Wednesday. And how that progresses, we'll have to continue to monitor that as we move on through. Dew points, a very strong dry line setup here for the most part. This is the reason why I think there's going to be a lot of hail here. There's actually a storm here that formed, so it took a bit of that energy, a bit of that moisture. But some of these areas that I just circled right along this line could see dew points in upwards of the 60s. There's also some dew points out in front of the line here that are in the 70s. So if there was some prefrontal convection that developed, there could be some tornadic development here. But it's just too far out to say for sure as to what all could be happening with this system. Low-level jet, 850 millibars. You see right here, there's a very strong low-level jet out in front of the dry line. There's also a very strong low-level jet moving up through with the warm front, which is kind of interesting because there could be some severe weather up near the Missouri River Valley as well as the Mississippi River Valley. Could be possible, but it's not all too likely. But there is the chance for some severe storms here from Kansas all the way down into Oklahoma, as the risk mentions. Upper level jet here, or well, actually I'll say mid-level jet. 500 millibars right here. You can see the wind shear is decent. It's pretty sporadic for the most part. You have some in upwards of 60 knots here within the main risk area. So we're really watching out for those storms here in Texas specifically. As I said, I think this area has the highest chance of seeing severe weather or the worst severe weather. So we're going to continue to monitor that as close as possible. So once again, just to look out for if you know anyone who lives in these areas, tell them that severe weather is possible within their area here on Tuesday. It's highly recommended, in my honest opinion. All right, we're going to talk about Wednesday here real quickly. This will be the last bit of the video. So Wednesday, we're looking at here in the morning. We don't have any timings for this officially because it is still relatively far out, so it's kind of wonky, as well as this this mid-range model here, the NAM, actually ends midway through on this event, so we have to try and go on to the two different long-range models. And we're going to be using the long-range model that covers the most area so that people can stay safe, or safe rather than sorry. That's just my personal decision on this, regardless if I think that it's wrong. So, widespread storms here in northern Texas and Oklahoma. That'll continue to translate further and further on into the late morning, into the early afternoon. And this is what we're watching out here for. The potential for some storms to form along that dry line again here in northern parts of Texas and southern and central parts of Oklahoma into Kansas and even Missouri. Those general vicinities could potentially see some severe weather as well. And the thing about it with all of these storms is that there is still the chance for some large hail, damaging wind gusts, and even tornadoes. All right, it still looks like it's going to be a severe weather event that could be impactful. But this is the end of the NAM run here. This is only the afternoon hours. This is actually 1 o'clock Central Daylight Time. So we have to shift on to the model that covers the most area, which is the Euro. And you can see still that severe weather here actually almost aligns with the NAM 12 kilometer model is what it's officially called. But it aligns with the NAM as to what the severe weather could look like. And so widespread all the way up into Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, into Texas. And that'll continue to move on through into the Oklahoma City vicinity, as well as potentially the Dallas-Fort Worth area towards like Abilene, maybe even a bit more towards San Antonio if it continues all the way out through the evening. But it's definitely something we're gonna have to watch for. I'm gonna have cities and stuff like that named for you all tomorrow as to which areas could be impacted. Because as I said, it's pretty far out, and the models are really too inconsistent in regards to the setup of this, and as well as the placement of where people can see thunderstorms. You'll see that in a second here with the wind shear, but as this continues on through, you can see giant low pressure system here with a warm front and a cold front, and so right within this general vicinity right here, I could anticipate some severe weather for Wednesday. Dew points, this is your warm front right here according to the NAM 3 kilometer here at 18Z, which is in the afternoon. So this is the reason why I'm saying this general vicinity right here could see severe weather. This mid-range model is kind of in between both the Euro and the GFS. The Euro actually has its warm front a lot higher. The GFS has it a lot lower. And I actually think the NAM probably has a better shot at nailing this. Seems how it's a mid-range model and actually picks up on severe weather a lot better than both of those models, probably both of them combined. So this is showing a sign for some severe weather, and the dew points are relatively moist up here, almost into the 70s in some spots across the board here in Oklahoma. So it is relatively moist. And if you can get into that triple point action with these storms, you could potentially see some very strong severe storms that could move on through. As I said, some could be tornadic, some could have some very large hail. I'm actually anticipating some large hail if there's any storms that form off of the dry line, but that's in western Texas again, so we'll have to monitor that as closely as possible. Here's the tale of two long-range models. This is the Euro model, and this is your low-level jet, 850 millibars. You can see how north this extends. Right here is actually the warm front where it ends right about here where I'm drawing. And so your low-level jet extends that far north, and you could potentially see some severe weather within this area here, according to the Euro. The mid-level jet here, the 500 millibar winds, actually shows some pretty strong wind shear here from western Texas all the way up to central parts of Texas, even Oklahoma. 50 to 60 knot wind shear here within these like lighter yellows, and once you get into like the reds and even browns, you start to get into the very high wind shear known as 70 to 90 miles 90 knots I should say, but this is nowhere near the main risk right here, so it's very hard for me to say for sure as to what all could be happening specifically for Wednesday. What this does tell me is that this low pressure system, with how all the wind shears on the southern to the southeastern parts of the low pressure, is that this low pressure will start to kind of move towards the east and maybe curl off to the northeast soon. So the potential for severe weather is there for places like the Ozarks and the southeast here on Thursday. But for right now, severe weather is expected within this general vicinity according to the Euro. Now, the GFS is much different. Here's the low-level jet, and this is how low the warm front actually is according to the GFS. You can see that it only takes up most parts of Texas into Arkansas and Louisiana, so it wants the severe weather out here a lot sooner, very much so a lot sooner. So, you know, you have your low-level jet here in place. It's just a lot further south. So if I were to say anything, I would say areas here near Abilene could potentially see some severe weather on Wednesday as well. That's kind of a bit of an overlap of the GFS and the Euro combined, so I would say that's a safe bet. The upper level jet here is a lot stronger here in the according to the GFS, but it's a lot stronger over here in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri, as well as about the same here in Texas. So something to really monitor, that if this mid-level jet stays in place, we could have a very strong severe weather event here in Oklahoma and even into Texas. So we're really going to want to watch out for this. I'm still thinking this could be a severe weather outbreak, but we're going to have to continue to watch it as we get closer and closer. So anyways, guys, that's the end of the video here. If you guys did enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications if you want to stay updated with all my content that I provide. I do live stream whenever the events do get bad, so if these events here on Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly Thursday do get bad, then I probably will live stream it Friday is kind of half and half. I'm doing something that day in the middle of the day, but if I have time to get back to it in the latter stages of Friday, and if there is anything that's happening, then I will try and live stream. But for the most part, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the days that we are really watching for severe weather. Join my Discord server. Link is in the description down below. We have almost 650 members in our server, and that is, that's pretty insane. I've actually never owned a Discord server this large, but then again, we have a lot of activity here, a lot of people that are talking across the board. And so, a lot of activity for the most part as this moves on through. But anyways, guys, yeah, that's going to be it for me. My name is Nate. I'll go by HockeyBoy Nate. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.